evening, everyone, and welcome to Roy's Tie-Dye Sci-Fi Corner, episode number 217, Runaway, the classic 1984 film starring Tom Selleck. With me tonight is my friend, my co-host, the one and only, Mr. Ross Amico. Ross, welcome.
Hi, Roy. I was hoping for a second that was a command and not the name of the movie. I thought tonight 3 times would be a charm on this snow day that we wouldn't be here tonight, but
snapped you in half like a number 2 pencil, Ross.
I was like, Weston relaxation at West.
It was not meant to be.
Not to be.
Oh boy. Hey, I want to welcome our viewers that are joining us out there. I want to say hi to Dennis Chevalier from Canada. Dennis, welcome to the show. Good to see you out there. Sue is joining us from Massachusetts. Welcome, Sue. And Jeff Rubel is also in the house, joining us from Utah out west. And I see also May is out there. May, welcome to the show. And let's see. Sue is saying, I don't think I can ever get enough of those awesome opening credits that Jeffrey Morris created. Yes, absolutely, Sue. We are very thankful for those credits. We have embraced those credits and the theme music that goes along with it.
Too many countdowns, though.
Yeah, well.
We just need a longer countdown, I think.
I almost slipped 3 in there tonight, Ross. You know what? Maybe with the weeks to come, as each week progresses, I will add more and more countdowns.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then by the end of the year, we'll have 52 of them. Yeah.
Oh boy, it's going to be a fun one. Jeff is saying it's Ross, Roy, and Squeaker. Actually, it's Ross, Roy, and Marblehead. Marble's in the background there sleeping.
Good eye. I didn't even see Marble back there.
Yeah. Good eye, Jeff. And I see Lou is joining us from Rhode Island. Welcome, Lou. Good to see you out there as well. And Matt is in the house. He's saying, hi, guys. I'm putting on my electrostatic scatter suit. Oh, boy. Here we go. Shari is also joining us. Hi, hon. She's saying, hey, guys. Love Gene Simmons in this movie. He's so creepy. Yes, he is extremely creepy in this movie. And we will be talking about his creepiness shortly. Let me see here. And Sue is saying, Sasha says me out to Marblehead. Oh, nice. 20 demerits. Yeah, pretty much. So anyway, Ross, before we get started, though, how you doing? How was your week? I know we were supposed to do the show last weekend, and unfortunately, Friday had kind of like a migraine and going on and not feeling so great. And then Sunday, everything went to pot pretty much with the storms and the weather.
Yeah. And we had snow today too, so I thought, 3 times. But you didn't do the hat trick, Paul. Who are you? where am I?
You can call me Ray.
Call you Rudy.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Exactly.
There you go.
Doesn't have to call me Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. We're dating ourselves with that bit, but that's all good.
Yeah. Well, he was dating himself with that bit. That was finished the first time he did it. Boy, did that guy milk it, though, didn't he? He made a whole career out of that.
They're still talking about it, Ross, as of now on the show. No, but did you have a good week? Did you get a lot of snow by you? Or
more than I expected. I went out to refill the bird feeders this afternoon. It was up over my shoes. So I said I better go shovel the car out before I do the show because it's turned to a block of ice. But, how'd it go up there? What'd you get?
Not too much today. I mean, it was coming down, but it really wasn't sticking to the ground. I think there was probably more earlier in the week when we got it. Yeah. Tuesday was very cold and very messy, and it's probably like about maybe a few inches out there of snow. But I mean, the roads themselves are pretty much clear, but it's just that with the temperature dropping and then the roads freezing, that's where it really gets to be, hazardous.
Yeah. I think I got there just in the nick of time because the car was already turning into the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I saw Brando in there, and he was all like crystallized.
Were you looking for that green crystal, Ross?
I was looking for the green. Brando wasn't the only one looking for the green. Yeah.
Oh boy, Matt is saying that they got about 4 inches in Philadelphia.
Really? Today? Wow. Yeah, I know that they. I think I heard they got snow earlier in the week too. You never get snow in Philly, so that's something.
That's interesting.
But it was like the reverse here. I got less, I think, than you did earlier in the week, and we may have gotten a little more today than you did. Not. It's not like the snows of yesteryear, though. You remember, they put the chains on the buses or chains on the trash trucks and the school buses, and they put the plows on the trash trucks, and you can hear the chains in the night.
Oh yeah, I mean, it was really noisy. I mean, it was just a different world then altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, when it was winter, then we had major snowstorms. I mean, we're talking like blizzards.
Oh yeah, and school would be closed for a few days.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah,
it's like a lifetime ago. It was a lifetime.
Now all those fields are developments. You don't have the drifting snow anymore, I guess. Well, you don't have the snow anymore.
Yeah.
Why are we here tonight? What are we doing?
And how did I get here?
And how did I get here? It'll be our running joke. Then you say Runaway, and I get up and I leave the room. It's our running joke. It's like, who's on first?
Third base. Hey, Don Bethman is joining us from Delaware. Don, welcome to the show. Good to see you out there. Dennis just commented, Magnum PI hunts down rogue robots, but there is a villain at work here also. Yeah, you got it, Dennis. That's exactly it. And Jeff just jumped in and said the snow belt is fun, isn't it? Yeah. I
snow.
I'm not going to go on about it, but it's just that, yeah, it is winter and it is January and it is the Northeast. So it doesn't make for a really fun combination. And we got spoiled too the last couple of years. We really didn't have a lot of snowstorms.
I like snow. It's not well, travel in it. I mean, nobody goes anywhere anymore, do they?
That's true. You can do everything virtually.
As we are right now. You don't actually get a snow day because everybody can reach you now. So
yeah, that's true.
If they need you.
If they need you.
But yeah, you go out and you do whatever you do in the snow. You go for a sleigh ride, build a snowman, and then you have your your melted cheese, your toasted cheese sandwich, and your tomato soup, and then you have the flashing blue lights in front of your eyes from being out in the snow for too long.
You're giving me flashbacks, Ross.
Little frostbite.
It's all coming back.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill. Thanks for joining. Bill's joining us from Harmony, New Jersey. Hey, Bill. Yeah, so. Yeah, those are the bygone days. I don't know. It's funny that when you talked about coming in from being out in the snow for like 3 hours, and then you come inside having sleigh ridden or just been out in the snow playing, and everything is just like this blur, and then everything's just like foggy and everything.
And your corduroys are caked with the snow, and you're all over the rug, and
that's like a 50-year-old memory right there, Ross.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff. I left out the stuff about throwing snowballs at cars.
Well, yeah, there you go. Not you, Ross. You would never do that.
Yeah, don't do that. I don't recommend it.
Yeah, don't do that. Matt's saying I tried to sculpt a snow turtle in Con Park with my bare hand and nearly lost my fingertips.
Well, there you go. Right across from my old apartment, by the way. Con Park.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 6-foot snow hoagie. Snow day hoagie. I thought you were saying a snow hoagie. Yeah. I thought about it, Lou.
All this talk of food and I'm getting hungry.
Oh man, I had to slam dinner. That's why I didn't come on until 5 to 7.
It's all right. You know what Shari made?
What?
Shari made meatloaf.
Oh, okay. Now you're bringing that up because I made the meatloaf last week. Is that why?
No, I'm bringing it up because
you hate
meatloaf is probably the one thing in the whole world that I just despise.
Why did it have to be meatloaf? I hate
everybody out there.
I hate it.
I just want to just say, and everybody's going to know what I'm talking about. But in regards to meatloaf, how many times has anybody out there heard this specific phrase? Oh, you're talking about meatloaf? You know what? I make the best meatloaf. It is like the world's best. I mean, it is a killer meatloaf. You know what I'm talking about, Ross?
Don't let the meatloaf.
Nah, it's just something that I don't like. But that's
Okay. Well, I made a pretty good meatloaf last week.
you say. There you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Enough of the shenanigans. We're having too much fun here.
Yeah.
So, welcome everyone, and Runaway. This is a movie I did not see in the movie theater. There he goes.
Drink.
Sherry's saying that's why I made it more for me. See? Yeah, we
You
know
like
how
my chili, though, right? You like my chili.
I did like your chili.
Say it, Roy.
I know your chili, your vegetarian chili is really good. And I
Right.
will say too, Sherry's chili rocks because when she makes chili, it's like she's like, where did all the chili go? So it's
we're gonna have to do a chili off.
yeah, there we go.
Should get everybody together and we'll bring our chili recipes.
There we go. Yeah, that's always fun. As long as it's not meatloaf.
Yeah.
But now, did you see, I won't say Runaway. Did you see this movie in the movie theater?
I did actually. Because it was
Really?
back in the era when I saw everything. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I did see it. Crazy, huh?
Yeah. Very, very crazy.
I think I saw
would.
it with my parents actually. I might have been home on break or something. And because I didn't see it with Matt, I don't believe. And he was the only other guy I ever went to the movies with back then.
Yeah. Yeah, because in 84, yeah, I'm
I
trying
mean,
to think.
if it wasn't you.
Yeah.
And it
And,
wasn't. Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see this film in the movie theater.
Mhm.
This, and I don't know how this one escaped me. This was a film I caught up on HBO, Prism, as I've talked about before. Hey, I want to welcome Jeffrey. Jeffrey Morris is out there. Jeffrey, welcome. Good to see you out there, Jeffrey.
Hi, Jeffrey.
And Matt saying, "Say it, Ross. You like my lobster, don't you?"
Yeah, yeah. From the lighthouse. Yeah, no, you know what? I saw it alone. I didn't see it with my parents. I remember I went to see it alone. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, Eva. Eva's joining us as well too. Welcome. Good to see you out there.
And I saw it at the Easton Eric.
Okay. Now, did you see it more than once, or did you just go once for this film? Okay.
No. I assume I paid for it. I don't know. If it was one of those things that was staggered, maybe I like drifted from theater to theater. But no, I assume I went and paid for it and saw it there once. That's the only time I had ever seen it until you said, let's do this movie.
Yeah, and interesting enough about it. I mean, it really doesn't. It's kind of like a cult film, and it had the potential to be a blockbuster, and I think that was the approach that they were taking with it. But unfortunately, it was overshadowed by other films in 1984, and it really never achieved that status. It needed, I mean, before we start really delving into this, it really needed a little bit more of the oomph that it just really did not have. But it's one of those movies it's kind of like I'll say it's not quite a cheesy film, but it's along the lines of that. But it's almost like a guilty pleasure film. Like if you're in the mood for something of this caliber and you go back to watch it, it really is enjoyable. So I definitely am not knocking it. I've seen it many times and thoroughly enjoyed it.
Well, it is an 80s movie, and it maybe hasn't aged as well as some of the other movies that came out around that time, because it touches on some of the same, if not exactly themes, some of the same, I don't know, because it's the same year that Terminator came out, which you had the robot overlords from the future, the AI or what have you. And then Blade Runner was out a few years before, but with the replicants, they were runaways. And here they're tracking the robots. So it kind of glances off that. It's not a strict, duplication of the other movies, but the reason the others hold up better, I think, is because they kind of looked ahead to the bleak future, whereas this one, very much in 80s fashion, it just ends with the long delayed, makeout kiss. They're over under the end credits. It's like the credits are going on for 4 minutes or something like that. It's just like a 4-minute makeout under the raining shower of sparks. And they said, yes. All they were missing was the pop song. But Jerry Goldsmith did his best to approximate one with his electronics.
And what's interesting about this film too is it is taking place in the future, And from the calculations of it, I think it comes out to be around like 1991. The age of Ramsey, which is the lead
Mm.
character played by Tom Selleck, is about 35 years old. And it's indicated that he was born in 1956 when they're showing his records at one point. So it's about 7 years in the future. And one of the interesting components of it, of what Michael Crichton was trying to do, is during this time frame. I mean, Star Wars had only come out at around, I mean, literally 7 years earlier, which is really kind of crazy to think about, because now we're fast forward 40 years, from '84 to where we are now in 2024. So there's only a 7 year time frame, but films and sci-fi films, or even TV, that were dealing with the components of robots or machines, a lot of them were trying to cross over into this sentient type of element where the machines were more than machines. However, with this film, machines are machines,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
which is kind of
Which,
refreshing, because it,
yeah,
it it kind of had its own type of personality with this film. He wasn't trying to go over the top. He was trying to make it futuristic, but not to the point where it was over and beyond. You know what I mean in regards to that. So I think I really
yeah,
felt that component really worked well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think in some respects, I mean, if you put the AI aside that we're all having anxiety about now, and just think about like the kind of realistic future that we would be looking at, the robots are going to be like cheap pieces of crap. They're going to be like our printers, going to be like our coffee makers, like our vacuum cleaners, where they'll break in a year and everybody throws them in the dumpster and they go to the box store and buy a new one. So it's not a matter of the budget. You thought, oh wow, it's such a, like, look at the cheesy budget here. It's not. It's just really realistic. I think that the
Yeah,
robots would be, well, except for the robots like picking the bugs off the plants and stuff. I don't think that's going to
sure.
happen. I think
No.
that was a little bit of a miss.
Hey, I want to just jump in on a comment Don's made, and it's kind of tying to what you were saying before. Yes, the end credit sequence made me feel that I was intruding on something very private for a really long time.
Well,
It's probably
the surveillance was everywhere.
one of the longest makeout scenes in
Yeah. But
media
I kind
history.
of liked it though. It cracked me up.
Yeah, it was cute. It was
That
cute.
and the jump scare. I howled with laughter at the jump scare. But I'm jumping ahead.
Hey, Brennan. Brennan is joining us tonight. Welcome to the show, Brennan.
What did it say
Yes,
about BB-8?
but you know what's really kind of
I didn't see the comment. What was it about
oh, I'm
BB-8?
sorry. He said
I
like
gotta
the
see it.
B. I gotta see it. Like the BB-8 I bought my girlfriend a few years ago.
There you go.
Sigh.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. All the robots in this are like all the robots that Uncle Owen gets that blow their gaskets. All the ones that Jawa's pulling off on Uncle Owen.
But you know what's really interesting, Ross?
What?
It's seeing this film and then thinking what it's going to be like in the future while you are seeing this film. So in 80, when this was out in 84, well, you saw it when it was first out. I probably saw it in 85, in that time frame. Of course, you're thinking, okay, what's it going to be like 10 years from now, or maybe 15 years from now? The point is, though, we are 40 years from when this movie came out. And it's just kind of like mind blowing to think,
It's like Buck Rogers. Yeah.
yeah,
Or at least Captain America. Yeah.
So it's the technology has definitely gone in that direction, and obviously there's so many references that we can cross back to that are in this movie that we're actually using today. But it's
Yeah, that
very,
was
very
interesting. Yeah, that it actually for such a a movie that nobody really seems to remember, that it was so spot on with some of the technology. And that what you said about it being calculating that was 1991, you're right. But watching it, it's almost like it was like a day after tomorrow future. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Everything was very much as it was in the 80s. And I saw somebody speculate online. I guess there's a theory that it's really an alternate reality. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because there is a genre of science fiction like that, mainly mostly in books. Uh, where what happens if if the Nazis won the war, or what happens if this kind of thing where you have a divergent present, and it kind of did make sense. But yeah, then when I was thinking about it, very much he was 35 during the movie, and they mentioned his birth year or showed it on the screen or whatever.
Right.
With the information there when Gene Simmons has the fake eye read, comes up with all his stats.
Right, like the retina eye scan that was,
Yeah.
in order to get into the computer, doing that.
Right.
Real quickly, I want to welcome Pete. Pete is out there. Hey, Pete.
Pete.
All hail and well met. And Martin is also joining us. Welcome, Martin. Good to see you out there as well. Catch you on the rebound. Thanks for popping in. And we'll catch up with you.
He says they're not talking about this movie.
Brennan is saying Fringe. Yes, there you go. And then Pete also commented about the J.J. Abrams version of Star Trek.
Exactly. Yeah, which Roy loves.
Also, For All Mankind. I mean, the concept behind that series that's on right now, it's on Apple, is that the Russians got to the moon before we did. And if I'm not mistaken, every season of the show progresses one decade. And that's how they were doing it.
It's like Marvel Comics What If, which I found out. Did they make that into a series? Do you know? Have you heard anything about this?
I have not.
It was a comic when I was a kid, and it came out bi-monthly, and it was a double-length issue. I remember it would always be like, what if I don't know. What if Invisible Girl ran off with Prince Namor or whatever? And it always ended with horrible tragedy. Like what if Spider-Man stopped the criminal from killing Uncle Ben or something?
Oh, right. Yep.
And you find out, well, it was a good thing. I guess Uncle Ben died, I'm just throwing these things out. I don't remember if they're actual stories, but that's what they were. But they were always downers. I think every once in a while they threw in a comical one. I guess like Twilight Zone,
Sure. Well, yeah, it's an alternate reality. It's they actually dealt with that on Star Trek Next Generation, I believe, too. Like, I can't think of the specific episode, but just quantum realities. I think
Joan Collins in the original series.
Oh, sure. Yeah, City on the Edge of Forever.
Yeah. Although they didn't show they did tell what would happen, but they didn't actually live through that reality. So
right. Yeah, they had to prevent that from happening, and it was and it's the old pretense where if you move a grain of sand on the beach, it'll change all of history. It was part of the closing of an Outer Limits episode. They dealt with that, and it's like a sliding doors moment where
it's the butterfly.
Everything, yes, exactly, where everything will just change. And I don't know. I've reflected even with my own life. Isolating like that moment that how did Spock say it in the City on the Edge of Forever, the focal point. It's that focal point in time where, reality is going to go in one direction or it's going to go into another. And it's really mind blowing if you think about it. And it makes for a wonderful story and for wonderful science, especially if you want to, expand upon that, or even if you're just thinking about different things. I mean, you can really have a serious mind trip in regards to that. It's like what you said earlier. It's the what if scenario.
Yeah. Well, that's why we must never do anything. But then you can bring in free will versus predestination, and we can have that discussion. I was compelled to do it.
Well, since we're going down this path, it's interesting. I'm going off track, and I'm not going to talk about the movie, but you had been saying for the longest time, we have to do it. Definitely check it out. But it's the final countdown, and it's what if. I mean, it is a what if.
Don't talk it out, Mike.
No, I'm not going to talk it out. Surprise!
I've never seen it, believe it or not.
What's that?
I've never seen it, believe it or not.
I didn't realize that. I thought you had seen it.
No, I wanted to see it, and that's why I brought it up. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I was very surprised that movie escaped me because, again, like this film, this is a movie I would have seen in 1984. Final Countdown came in it was produced in 79. It was in the theaters in 80. I think it came out in August of 1980. So I was very surprised that it went under the radar for me. But
my parents saw it. I know they liked it, but I never got to the theater to see it.
Yeah, great cast too. So yeah, we'll definitely.
So I guess I didn't see everything.
Yeah,
see that? I think I saw the Sun Classic film about the Bermuda Triangle, though. I know that. I did see in the theater.
And there's another thought, Ross. talking
Yeah.
about the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is something that always was brought up, especially when we were growing up. And now it's like you hardly even hear
Nah,
about
because all the killer bees went in there. They went into the Bermuda Triangle. You never hear about them either. Once in a while, we heard about murder hornets for a couple of weeks, I think, during during COVID. But
oh boy,
yeah,
yeah, of
not a
course.
lot of.
And that's also a topic that we could cover, because it's all the natural disaster films back in the day. Yeah, Bigfoot. Right, exactly, Matt. Finding Bigfoot. That was something else too. That was
the Sun classics, exactly.
Yep. So time has marched on for sure. But anyway, circling back to this film. So with the whole pretense of this actually being 7 years in the future from a time frame of 1984, I think it really did a good job with that, setting the stage. This film was shot for the majority of it, I'd say probably 95% was in British Columbia and Vancouver.
Oh yeah, Vancouver, right?
Yeah. Except for I think one scene, and that was where they were in the cornfield, and it was just because of the weather that they had to go to. They went to Washington State to shoot that, but otherwise they found out that the locals were very inviting, and didn't give a hard time, and really just enjoyed the crews being there. So Michael Crichton was very happy with that aspect of the movie making, from what I had read.
So what were the things that the film kind of called, other than the domestic robots, which I guess most of us don't really have yet. But
yeah.
Well, you know what? The one thing it did kind of get a little off was it kind of imagined this mechanized future. And for sure we have that. But now our big concern is the artificial intelligence, kind of like if we rip the machines up, there's still that intelligence out there somewhere. Controlling the Terminators. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, everyone essentially has, to your point, like a sentry or almost like a housekeeper or something that's assisting with the domestics of the home. Yeah. Ramsey's character, his wife was killed in a car accident, and essentially the robot was I shouldn't say, the sentry, the robot was essentially helping with the day-to-day duties, looking after his son, making sure that he was brushing his teeth, eating his hot dogs, so to speak,
right,
and doing his homework, pretty much like looking after him on that level. But it's not at a place where we're at now.
Yeah, I have to say I have a lot of respect for Tom Selleck's acting ability after having to play scenes with that kid. Because he really sold it. He was playing to like somebody who wasn't there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey Kramer, and he did a lot of stuff as a child actor, and I guess his big movie was Flight of the Navigator. Did you ever see that film?
No, I didn't.
I did not either.
After bragging about seeing everything, I did not see it. I remember it being out, but
yeah,
I did not.
But sadly, it sounds like he really had, after doing films and everything, he pretty much went in a different direction with his life, and definitely had a lot of things that took place. So,
okay, I have to look that up.
Yeah, different things that occur.
Yeah.
But to your point though about Tom Selleck, I mean, he was in the height of Magnum PI. I mean, Magnum was very prominent in the 80s when we were growing up. In fact, that was from 1980 to 1988, and really, for him to have the opportunity to do a film really did not happen all too often. As we know, we've talked about it on the show. When it came to Indiana Jones, he was the first choice. And there you go for an alternate reality.
Yeah.
Right.
Would have been a very, very different experience. Yeah. Yeah. I think it would have been an entertaining movie, but I don't think it would have had the resonance that it does, because Harrison Ford is just so real, with the I don't know. It's not that Tom Selleck can't play vulnerable.
Sure.
But there's just something about Harrison Ford. I think that he's inseparable from the role now, of course, but I don't know, because we've seen like all the Harrison Ford knockoffs that Tom Selleck has done. We saw High Road to China and Well, he did a lot of westerns, Quigley Down Under, and his films are always entertaining, but they're never like earth shaking. Yeah, I guess Three Men and a Baby, which I have never seen. That's the one that Nimoy directed, right?
It is. Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's probably his biggest movie, biggest hit. Tom
And that
Selleck.
only came out. That came out in '87, so it was only 3 years after this film had came out too.
Yeah, but you can't cry for Tom Selleck because this guy, after Magnum, he was a star, but he was always working.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And what was he? He was not a Marlboro Man. Everybody goes, "Oh yeah, he was a Marlboro Man," but he wasn't. I think he did another cigarette commercial. He was in commercials, and he, apparently he was in coma. He was one of the bodies in coma.
Well, and ironically enough, that's part of the reason why I brought that movie up to you earlier, because I found out that he was one of the bodies that was being suspended.
I can't remember if I read that once before, or if there's somebody else that's hanging in there too. There's a place where all the future stars went to get their start in the meat locker in coma.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, Ross. Hey,
I don't know. There's something about that body.
I see a few people out there that are joining, but they're not in the comments. I want to say hi to Kate. Kate, welcome. Good to see you out there. Also, I see Jerry Seward is out there as well. And I also see that Martha's out there. Hi, Martha. Thanks for joining. Hope everyone's enjoying the show tonight. And we are talking about Runaway. But yeah, in regards to Tom Selleck, interesting enough, and I was just talking to Vince about this, and I think maybe I had even mentioned this to you back in June of 1990. And specifically, I actually remember the date because the third season cliffhanger of Star Trek Next Generation, the best of both worlds, was going to be airing that night. It was the first part, and it was going to be the big cliffhanger of the season. They'd never done anything like this before. Next Gen was in its third season, but there was a convention that was actually taking place at, I believe, off of Route 100. It was at the Holiday Inn, and Vince and I shot up there to go, and Van Williams was at the convention, and he had played. What's that?
Vaughan Williams? He's my favorite composer.
No, Van Williams.
All right.
And he played the Green Hornet back in the day.
Oh, Van Williams. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway, he was there, and it was I really felt bad. I mean, a lot of us there was probably about maybe 40 of us, and which going to a convention, it's great because, you've got essentially this celebrity, this actor telling his stories, and you're not like all the way in the back, you can't hear and what have you. So it was kind of like a very intimate setting, and they actually had the Black Beauty there, and that was his car from the show. And we all gathered around like in a circle, and he was just telling his stories, talking about his career, and it was very, very interesting. And he retired in Hawaii, and the irony is, I remembered he was 58 years old when he was doing all this, and it's like thinking, oh my God, 58. Yeah, it's like, welcome, here's 57, right?
Yeah, still have a year.
Yeah, exactly. But he had referenced and mentioned about Tom Selleck and that he was friends with him, but he made the comment too that Tom Selleck was trying to break into the movies, but he was having that kind of, he was hitting that wall where he would make the films, but they just weren't going to that next level where he was hitting the stardom, like somebody like Harrison Ford.
Right. Yeah. And he was limited in the 80s with Magnum.
Yeah.
He could only do it when he wasn't working,
Right. So, well, and that's what happened with this film because they were on hiatus. This film was shot between May and August of 1984. It came out in the movie theaters in December of 84. So that was the only way that he was able to actually do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So the domestic robots, okay. It did get the drones, the private drones. I mean, not we have drones in the military, but as far as the ones that everybody was just flying around all the time now, that was something they were doing in this movie. Flat screens. There was a flat screen television in the kids' room. Tablets. The police had the tablets, and by extension, when they were doing like the police artist sketch, when they're trying to get a beat on what Gene Simmons' character looked like, they were able to kind of do stuff on there that wouldn't have been really possible, on a handheld computer back then. I mean, we didn't have tablets yet, so.
Yeah. And how about the remote control police car?
Right. The remote. Yeah, I know. Which in a sense, we have self-driving cars now. We don't have the robot cars or whatever.
Right, the Teslas.
So, did it predicted it a little, almost. But
again, this is again what to me is personally mind blowing.
Yeah.
So it's like envision yourself back in 1984 when you're seeing this film, or 85, and then again, anytime like I'm seeing a movie that's taking place in the future, I'm always thinking ahead, like, all right, what is that future going to be in the next 10 to 15 years? And here with this, it's like 10 years has gone by, 20 years has gone by, 30 years has gone by, and now it's 40 years, and here we are. And a lot of these items and a lot of these gadgets and a lot of these components that you're mentioning, the majority of them we have now, and it's like the norm. So it's we're continuing to progress.
Some of them took a little longer than 6 years, but yeah,
exactly.
Oh, social media. His kid has almost like a MySpace account or something.
Right.
That's how they find out about how Gene Simmons figures out like where he's going to be or whatever. What else? Oh, surveillance. Surveillance is. See, if this movie were made today, it would be a much different movie. Mm-hmm. It's kind of innocuous because it has its conflict, it has its danger, but once the villain is taken out, then there's a happy ending. You know what I mean? Right. Now, when that happens, it's like, oh, we're still living in a dystopian, world, and it would be the police would not be, as innocuous as they are in this movie. It would be a police state, or the police would abuse, it would be abusive, totalitarian state. And the surveillance, they make more about the surveillance. Like everybody's watching everybody in this movie, but really they don't really make a big deal out of it. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, he's watching us. Gene Simmons tapped into our camera here, and he can see everything we're doing. But today they would make a big deal out of that in a movie.
Sure.
As they should, but
well, and with Gene Simmons' character in this film, it's almost like he's like a one-off. It's like he's somebody that went rogue.
Right.
It's not, because again, right. It's not being portrayed as a dystopian type of society. It's just almost being portrayed that this is a guy that's just evil.
Right. He's a bad egg.
Exactly. And he's utilizing the technology to his advantage to achieve what he wants.
Right. Yeah, he's like an arms dealer or whatever, he's because he wants to sell the technology to the highest bidder kind of thing, for whatever thing he puts on the chip that makes the robots go mad. But he's like a terrorist, but he's not reflective of the rest of society. Now it would be, something much more, sinister than that, more pernicious.
Yeah, unfortunately, like by today's standards, it's like that's like the norm.
Right. It was also interesting they did the thing with the media exploitation, like when he goes to the house to kind of diffuse the situation with the robot that runs amok and killed the family,
right? Which
is also very Blade Runner, or even, I mean, we've seen scenes like that in police movies. There was a lot of like 70s police story kind of stuff in this film, where somebody goes berserk. In fact, Outland, which is set in the future, Sean Connery has the same thing where the guy wigs out on the drugs and he's got the knife and he's dangerous and he's got to get into him. You see this all the time in cop films in the 70s, even though Outland was 81.
Yeah. So it would have been 3 years earlier than that.
But, I mean, Tom Selleck gets in trouble, the police chief busts him down, it's like, you know what you did, Ramsey? How many times have we seen that?
I know, and it's almost like an ongoing joke too throughout this entire movie. How many times do you hear the name Ramsey? You're hearing his name being called, like, at least, I think they clocked it at something like 60 or 65 times where you actually hear him being mentioned.
I wanted to show 3 officers are dead. Yeah.
Lou commented a little while ago. He said, for some reason I was confusing with The Running Man. I need to see both of those again, as it's been quite a while. Let me see.
Be back. Yeah,
I'll be back. Brendan said, The Flight of the Navigator is worth a watch. It had a different story. I only saw it a few years ago. And Don said, High Road to China is a perfect example. Didn't quite hit the mark, though.
Right.
John Williams is my favorite composer.
The High Road to China was enjoyable, but it was just like so many movies back then. You went to the movies, you saw the movie, you enjoyed it, you went, but it was not life shaking, life. I was gonna say life shaking, life. What am I thinking of?
What are
no
you
great
thinking
shakes. No great shakes.
Earthquake?
Earthquake. But yeah, I watched Quigley Down Under within the last couple of years, where he's a cowboy who goes to Australia. Alan Rickman's the villain.
Oh, right.
But I mean, it's very much the dynamic between him and the heroine. It's very much Indiana Jones and Marion kind of thing, and it's entertaining. It's entertaining, but it's not Raiders of the Lost Ark. And plus, you need all the elements. So who knows if he had been in the film with Spielberg directing and I don't know. I just can't see it being the same movie or going in the same direction. I could never see Tom Selleck and I can't see Harrison Ford in in a lot of the sequels either.
Well, and there's even been talk, and I'll even go down the Star Trek route. So obviously Jeffrey Hunter was Captain Pike, but in regards to the replacement, because he wasn't available, William Shatner obviously got the role. But now there's been talk too, potentially, that Jack Lord was approached as far as playing that role of Captain Kirk, and then also Lloyd Bridges. So if you try to imagine those two actors, you know what I mean, in regards to how they would have portrayed the character, there's different dynamics, you know what I mean? And it's just interesting because you're substituting somebody for someone that is so well established. I mean, Indiana Jones, my God. I mean, we saw Indiana Jones back in 1980, and we just saw him last year. So what? It's like 43 years of that imprinted on our being, and then you're trying to imagine somebody that was considered for the role, but we can only imagine, and we're really not going with it. Not that he couldn't pull it off, but it would be an entirely different type of character.
Right. No, I agree.
Brennan just commented too that Jodie Foster recently revealed she was up for Princess Leia.
Yeah, I just saw that today, actually. Yeah, and she passed because she was under contract at Disney doing something else. Yeah. What'd say about Jack Lord?
Yeah, Jeff said, yeah, Jack Lord is Kirk and Martin Landau is Spock, right? Yeah, exactly. Because Martin Landau supposedly, that's right. He was approached about it, but he didn't want to do the character because he didn't like the character of the idea of portraying somebody like Spock. And then obviously, he did Mission Impossible and Raw in Hand, and the rest is history with that. Matt said, I was surprised that in the future your employee files could contain information about your love of water sports. You also put in there about the heat-seeking bullets. Yeah.
It's so slow they can outrun. Yeah, we're still waiting for that future. It's coming, though. It's right on the horizon, Matt. Right around the corner. Maybe.
Hey, I want to say hi to Colleen. Colleen is out there. Welcome, Colleen. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for dropping in. And so I mean, it was really kind of cool just to see elements of sophistication that we just were not accustomed to, but we could imagine, and they were like within sort of arm's reach, but a little further.
And things we take for granted now, like the doorbell has the camera,
Sure.
the security system, and there was something else that was the Bluetooth. He's wearing the Bluetooth.
Yeah, and that's actually a perfect lead-in, Ross. So I am going to share.
So, like, if a young person, somebody born after 2000, were to go back and watch this movie, they might not understand, that this was predicting the future, except for the fact that some of the technology looks so clunky compared to what we've got today. But he's walking around. You just assume that you had the Bluetooth back then, which we did not. Yeah.
No, and this is actually a perfect segue into All Roads Leading to Star Trek, because with the Bluetooth in Star Trek, Uhura and even Spock sometimes would have that as far as monitoring. And also, the other All Roads Lead to Star Trek, just to throw that out there, is of course Kirstie Alley, who played Saavik in Star Trek II, The Search for Spock.
Yeah, what did you think of her in this movie, her character? Because she kind of played a little bit of a femme fatale, but I felt like she was a little bit maybe underutilized.
I think there could have been. I mean, she got fourth billing in the movie, which
Yeah,
was I thought was pretty impressive. Yeah, I thought she could have been utilized a lot more. It's like it was restrictive. They only went so far, and I don't know. They definitely could have done more with her character. She was more of a, almost like an interest for Ramsey, and then
yeah,
that also sparked the jealousy between his, with Cynthia Rhodes' character, Karen Thompson,
yeah,
who was essentially his partner, and there was that friction there, and she was like calling out Kirstie Alley because on her character or Jackie, that why was she in the office? Because why was she there? And then Ramsey, Tom Selleck, was just like making excuses for her because he wanted to, he was attracted to her and he wanted to impress upon her, and he was trying to be like macho and everything, and then he got his butt kicked by the one by the one
right,
robot.
right. Yeah, he insisted on not following procedure and trying to savor himself. Yeah.
But what's interesting about Kirstie Alley, though, Ross, is that in fact, if you go onto YouTube, you can find anything on YouTube. She was, she was raised in Kansas, and she went out to California like in 1979 as an interior decorator, and that was like her business, what she was doing, the kind of work she was doing.
Hmm.
And I guess she was also looking into Scientology. That was something that she was also really looking to get involved in. She was actually on Match Game, believe it or not, as a contestant. I guess everybody makes the game shows, because if you look at Tom Hanks, his first appearance was in 1965 on the Dating Game. So there you go,
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting because if you think about it, 3 years later, she's in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, Tom Selleck was in coma. He was a piece of meat in coma. The Dating Game. I think we should end all of our broadcasts like this. Blow the big kiss. Yeah.
Sue, I'm sorry. Sue saying, "Hi, folks. I've had a very difficult week, and I'm going to go crash. Sorry, I'm going to miss the rest of the show. Take care, all, and stay warm. Feel better, Sue. I'm sorry you had a rough week, and hope you're feeling better and everything is okay.
Feel better.
And we'll catch up later. Thanks for tuning in a little bit tonight."
It's interesting about her being a interior decorator or pursuing that, because was her TV series about that? Was she an interior decorator in that, or was she a designer or something? After Cheers, she was in another series.
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
Yeah,
she
I never really watched it either, but
yeah. But I mean, and bringing up Cheers, look how successful she was after, what was it, Rebecca, Shelley Long left.
Yeah. In fact, I think it was concurrent. I think she was on Cheers when this was out. This was 84. I think, wasn't she already on Cheers at that point, or no? Was that later?
No, I think actually Cheers was later, I believe. I looked that up too.
Maybe I mixed it up.
That's okay.
It was certainly after Wrath of Khan.
Yeah, because Wrath of Khan was 82. So this was But
the elephant in the room is Gene Simmons.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Ross.
Gene Simmons. Yeah.
Cheers was 87 to 93.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
So she hadn't landed her plum role on Cheers yet.
Catherine, thanks for joining.
Hello, Catherine. We're just about to talk about Gene Simmons. But not the one you're thinking of, though.
Yes, well, Gene Simmons, I think of too, from the 1950 films.
Yeah.
Sherry's saying it was called Veronica's Closet.
Veronica, that's right.
Yeah, thanks, hon.
So I wonder, was she a designer on that? I can't remember. It used to come on after something. I can't remember, and then I didn't hang out for it, but I remember it coming on.
I remember it being on, but I never watched it. I couldn't even say one episode. So, that's okay.
Not enough Vulcans in that.
There you go.
So,
but yeah, and interesting enough, Gene Simmons was actually in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, was he? Did he go on to do that?
No, Gene Simmons, the actress.
Oh, the real the actress. Oh, wow, she was in everything.
Yeah, well, she was
She was in Great
royalty.
Expectations as Estelle back in the 40s for David Lean's movie. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Hey, Warren is joining us. Hey, Warren. He's saying, tuning in to say hi to my two favorite movie reviewers, the Siskel and Ebert of the East Coast.
We go.
Thanks, Warren.
Yeah. Bargain basement. Bargain counter, Gene and Roger. Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead, Ross. You were saying about
about Gene Simmons of Kiss. Yeah, do you remember Kiss in the Phantom of the Park? Remember that TV movie in the 70s?
Remember being out, and I remember when it was actually on television.
Yeah.
I didn't see it, though.
It was made for TV. Yeah.
It was. I was not a big Kiss fan.
Yeah.
And
but there were only so many channels. You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
How did you not see Kiss in the Phantom of the Park? Show of hands. Somebody saw Kiss in the Phantom of the Park. You know, everybody out there. They're not admitting to it, but they all watched it.
Flash the beepers on.
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. But it was the 70s. And it was TV. So.
Oh, wow.
But yeah. But,
Don just said, I just watched that this Halloween.
We should do it this Halloween. This next Halloween.
There we go. Gene Simmons so ugly he landed 5,000.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
With or without the makeup, though, is what I want to know.
Warren is saying, oh wow, Anthony Zerbe was in that. It's so bad. Anthony Zerbe was in Star Trek. He was in the Star Trek Next Generation movie.
It's horrible. It's a horrible. Even at the age of 10 or whatever, when I watched it or 11, I knew it was horrible.
Sherry just said in Veronica's
lingerie.
Yeah. Veronica's Closet was about a lingerie company in New York, spinoff of Victoria's Secret. Oh, there you go.
Interior design, lingerie.
It's all the same.
Insufferable. Yeah. Was it about Kiss and Phantom of the Park or us? The Insufferable. Yeah.
We're having too much fun.
Yeah. When was that on anyway? Kiss and the Phantom of the Park. 78.
78. That was 78.
So we were like 12-ish. Yeah. But
the Hague is out there, I think. Hey, John.
If the Hague's out there, I'm sure he has Kiss and the Phantom of the Park on his video collection.
Oh, I'm sure. I have no doubt.
Yeah. But I was not a Kiss guy either, but everybody knew who Kiss, they knew the group. And, I have to say, whenever I see that there's going to be a rock star in a movie or a pop star or whatever, I'm totally skeptical. It's like, okay, so Sting's in it. Somebody put Sting in Dune or something. And I'm always like, when I go to the movies. But, Gene Simmons acquitted himself very well in this movie, I thought.
He was excellent. And interesting enough, too, Michael Crichton was commented on him. He said, don't talk to your acting teachers. Don't talk to your coaches. Essentially, go with what you're feeling and, just embrace. And he nailed it. I mean, he was very intimidating. In fact, Kirstie Alley, I guess, she was interviewed and she was talking about working with him. And she said he was a very strong presence. And what she tried to do is she tried to put herself in their state of mind when she was like 13. And then there was like an 18-year-old that liked her. And this guy was really just like bad news, but she was attracted to him because he was a bad boy. And she was trying to play her character in this movie to that type of, relate to it in that respect, to give her the motivation of her wanting to be drawn to him, because even though she knew he was going to kill her, she still was drawn to him, and that's what she was feeding off of. But she said he was, and also the other thing she said was, he was harmless, but it's just the way that he came across.
He embraced his inner creep.
He really did.
And you need a strong villain in a movie like this.
And Brennan commented, it was at least better than Gilligan's Island meets the Harlem Globetrotters. The only thing good about that film, the only thing is that Martin Landau and Barbara Bain were in it. And that was the one thing that drew me to that movie. Otherwise, it was so bad.
Do I hear double feature? Watch party.
So bad. Oh, boy.
But you need a strong villain. You need a characterful villain.
You do, and he was that villain.
And Selleck wasn't buried by him because Selleck has his own charismatic kind of thing that he does. He does a Selleck thing, but Gene Simmons did not. He wasn't like a colorless villain. He was. He had presence. And I'm surprised I know he was in other things. The Hague was telling me about another movie he was in he said it was like made for one of the best moments of the 80s. One of the scenes he had in it, but I didn't see the movie, so I didn't know it.
Matt just commented. He said, "Holy hell! Just read that the Gordon Hessler directed Kiss in the Phantom of the Park. He also directed The Golden Voyage of Sinbad." Wow!
all roads. And of course, when I think of Kiss in the Phantom of the Park, I instantly go back to Phantom of the Paradise with Paul Williams, the Brian De Palma movie.
Oh, okay.
That I suggested we do sometime around Halloween, which means I know we're not going to do it. But...
Jeff Rubel said Roger Daltrey was in Sliders once as an army colonel, much better than I would have expected.
I watched Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence for the first time this year. It came out in 84, 83, 84. David Bowie is in it, and he was excellent. And I couldn't believe it because, I think David Bowie, like Labyrinth or, we did Man Who Fell to Earth,
yep.
But he didn't have a lot of presence in that so much. Yeah. He did well with what he had, but in Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, he definitely had something there. That he had screen presence and he acted very well in it. So I guess I shouldn't be so prejudiced against pop stars or rock stars being in movies. You have Roger Daltrey in the Ken Russell movies, but yeah, he was pretty terrible. But those movies were pretty terrible.
just to remind everybody, I'm just going to throw up the slide. So
it is goofing around. Yeah.
There's Tom Selleck. There's also Cynthia Rhodes, and then Gene Simmons, and then also Kirstie Alley. But yeah, I mean, he's just his presence. I mean, he just his look alone, he sells it. When they were actually doing the playback, when Ramsey's going through the recordings from that house that the wife and then also the sister were attacked and murdered by the robot. They're looking at who came to the house to visit, and he's posing as a computer repair guy from like the Acme company or whatever. Right. And just the way
it was Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, exactly. And just the look he gives with his eyes.
Yeah,
it just sells it. It just sells the moment.
Yeah, like Selleck, he needed a better movie. Gene Simmons needed his major film to really break out and make that. But you know what? He was doing Kiss too. He was in the band, so he probably didn't have time for a real movie career.
Right. Colleen saying, "Love the Highlander, the series episodes Roger Daltrey was in."
I didn't see it.
No, I didn't either.
So, but yeah, whatever. With the and Cynthia Rhodes, we haven't really talked about her. She was also a dancer apparently in Flashdance and
yeah,
Staying Alive was the other one that she was in.
She was in Staying Alive. That was the year before this. That was in '83. She did. Obviously, she did this movie and Xanadu. Do you remember that movie in 1980?
Yeah, I saw that in the movies too.
I saw that at Easton Eric Ross. Actually, Leslie's not out there tonight, but it was Leslie, myself. It was Joe. Joe Metz. I think Joe Brickman too. And we went to see that. I remember Leslie's dad drove us to go see that in the van.
So you guys actually made like a conscious decision that, hey, we're going to go see Xanadu. Whereas like, my parents said, hey, we're going to go see Xanadu. You want to come? Sure. It was like, yeah, I got to see Xanadu.
Shari said,
he could be a good Dracula. Yeah.
He really would.
Yeah. Boy. Yeah. I don't know why you didn't do it.
Brennan saying Gene Simmons, Alice Cooper, and Iggy Pop are the new Three Musketeers.
Is that a joke or not? I don't know.
Hey, Randy,
get pretty old in the later books. Yeah.
Randy's out there. Hey, Randy, thanks for joining. He's saying, good evening. Sorry I'm late. I was on a plane back from Vegas. No worries, Randy. And glad you made it. And good to see you that you're out there.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, Randy.
Oh, I bet you it was a lot warmer out there, huh, Randy? Out west. Randy's in Wisconsin, so I'm pretty sure that they're pretty cold up there. And Jeffrey was even saying in Minnesota, it's freezing up there. I mean, they had zero degree weather. So it's winter's here for sure. But now here's some other members of the cast that I'm going to throw up, and not throw up, but throw up. Put them up on the board. Stan Shaw, G.W. Bailey, Chris.
Oh yeah, he was the police captain.
Yeah.
So who's the guy at the bottom left there? He's so familiar. He's like a cut rate. He was like the poor man's Patrick Swayze. Who is he? He's in everything.
Chris
I've
Mulkey.
I've seen him so many times. Who is it?
Chris Mulkey.
Who is he?
He's a character actor. And
I've seen him in so many things, and it's like I was trying to pin where I'd seen him.
Yeah.
But since I couldn't figure out his name, I didn't go through the IMDb and look at his credits.
Gotcha. Yeah, when he did this film, he was only probably like about 36 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he did his share of different films, but not, I don't know. He has like a familiar look to him, to your point, but I don't think it's movies that I really had seen. Well, he was in Heartbreak Hotel, Ambition, Gas Food Lodging, Ghost in the Machine, Broken Arrow, Behind Enemy Lines, Sugartown.
He just has a face that I've seen.
Yeah,
and he's somebody else. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you're right though. He has a resemblance to Patrick Swayze, a slight resemblance to him.
There's another actor in the movie who has the character has a Welsh name. I can't remember his name was like Evans or but it was played by an Asian American actor. And I was trying to pin where I'd seen him before.
Gotcha.
I said, was he in Temple of Doom but he wasn't. He wasn't in the IMDb. And he's in a TV series now or recently, but he's much older, so the face doesn't match up.
Gotcha.
So I can't. I got to go back and like really look at these actors' names and figure out what they did, because there are some familiar faces you'll recognize in this movie.
Yeah, it's. Chris Mulkey was in Twin Peaks, according to Brennan.
Oh,
so yeah,
that's
there you go.
probably one of the places, definitely, because I watched all of those.
Yeah, Warren's a big Twin Peaks fan.
Oh, right. He was into it. Yeah, absolutely.
Did you ever see the movie 48 Hours? He was a cop in that movie too.
I did see 48 Hours. Yeah.
Randy's saying it was a software convention, so yeah, that computes in Vegas and is stateless. There you go. What did Don said? A-holes was the best quote of the film.
Yeah, because it was just so excessive, so over the top. It was Kolchak.
Yes, exactly. And that guy right away, and that was G.W. Bailey. Knew that guy from the Police Academy movies. Right.
But the character he plays, how many times have we seen that? Anytime Dirty Harry like shoots up a pharmacy or an airplane or something like that. Or Kolchak does something, they get busted down by this guy.
Kolchak!
Yeah. Assholes.
Kolchak. That was oh my god. What was that guy's name?
Vince.
No, that's not his name. Simon Oakley.
Right? Yeah, Vincenzo. Tony Vincenzo. Simon Oakley.
Yes, Tony Vincenzo.
Yeah.
Come on, Tony. You got to give me the break.
Tony Vincenzo. Yeah.
Come on, Tony. You got to. It's interesting, Ross. We could talk about actors from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and definitely have a reference. And I was just talking about this. Actually, last night I was talking about this with Bill and Vince. We were because we're doing the murder mystery. And the Emmys were just on, and just this week I posted about it was the 75th Emmy Awards for the evening Emmys. So I thought, let me go back and post something that was like the 20th, which was from 1968. So I'm going through the list, through Google to see the different shows, and I'm like, okay, I know this one, this one, this one, this one. I know this actor, going right through the list. Looking at the list from the 75th from this year's Emmys, and if there was maybe 2 names or 3 names I recognized, that was probably a lot. And it was only the recognition. If I saw these actors, no clue who they were or are.
Yeah,
It's really scary.
I know.
So anyway,
I don't know. I like to think it's not all me though.
No, it's not.
It's not like I left the entertainment industry. They left me.
They walked out on you, Ross.
I'd be perfectly happy to go to the movies and watch TV, but you got to meet me halfway.
I promise not to sing. Chris Mulkey was doing TV from Barnaby Jones to Twin Peaks and beyond. Oh, Barnaby Jones. Yeah, you know what, Matt? I think I did see him in Barnaby Jones, now that you're mentioning it.
Well, Paul Miller, who often watches the show, Matt, my friend, your friend too now.
Yeah,
he stays up all night watching MTV. So now I have it on good authority that Barnaby Jones follows canon. Because he stays up all night. It's been like at 6 o'clock in the morning after watching the Canon and Barnaby Jones and I forget what's after that, like Police Squad or something.
And do you remember what they would do when they were doing the opening when they were doing the opening credits? You'd have the narrator, the voiceover guy would say, "Barnaby Jones."
Yeah, right.
A Quinn Martin production. And the same thing with Canon. It was a Quinn Martin production.
Well, Jerry Goldsmith did the theme for Barnaby Jones too. It makes it sound like it's really going to be an adventure show.
I know, you're watching the credits and you're like really into it, and then
it's like, oh, wait a minute, it's Buddy Epson.
He did a good job. You know what was sad about that show, though? What was sad about that show, though? It seemed like as it got to like the later seasons, like maybe like the second to the last, sort of the final season of Barnaby Jones, you weren't seeing him really like doing as many of the cases as he was doing when he first started doing the show. It was, what was that guy's name? Mark Sheriff.
Oh, yeah.
He was like his assistant, and Lee Merriweather, she was on the show too.
Yeah, see, at least William Conrad as Canon, he was doing all his own stuff. Eating burgers and fighting people.
Cannon had cannon.
said, man, Raymond Burr's got it all figured out. Here I'm killing myself every week, and this guy's sitting in a wheelchair.
Oh, I thought the Hague was out there already. I guess he wasn't. He said he just woke up. Hey, John, welcome. Brendan said that, Barnaby Jones had a great theme. It did have a great theme. Back when TV shows actually had themes, as opposed to now they just throw the credits up and it's like, what?
drone aimlessly. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Nobody has the first idea of how to put together a theme anymore.
That's the personality of the show.
Yeah.
That's laying the groundwork. I mean, could you envision Lost in Space 3rd season without that fantastic theme by Johnny Williams? I mean, come on.
Nobody cares about film scores anymore. I mean, people used to buy the albums. I mean, the albums sold in millions, and then they put out, back in the glory days, they put out albums every year of like the great themes from the movies.
Yeah.
You remember? I mean, it wasn't just one composer.
No.
These were all memorable themes from all the movies that came out that year, and you used to be able to buy these records. You had Elmer Bernstein and Alex North and Bronislaw Kaper and I don't know. You know the names.
Gerald Fried,
John Addison, and I don't know. Just all these Maurice Jarre would always be on. Henry Mancini would always be on.
Henry Mancini, yes.
Yeah.
Had the Hague said Earl Hagen. Yeah.
Not anymore. Earl Hagen, right? Or Hagen.
Or Hagen, excuse me. Hagen-Dazs. Hagen-Dazs.
No,
in fact, you know what, Ross? We had so much fun talking about television themes. I definitely would like to revisit that.
We definitely went rogue. We were runaways that day.
The only thing I'll say is if we do that, we're not going to be broadcasting folks on YouTube because we will not make it out of the gate. At least with Facebook, we might have a chance.
Yeah, they kept shutting us down as it was, but we kept coming back.
Yeah, I think what was the record? I think it was like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, I think only one segment was lost at the end
Yeah.
that they
So,
took away from us.
of course, as the computer is listening, going through the algorithm as we're speaking, they're going to
Yeah.
analyze the episodes.
But when you go back though and watch those, there are long stretches of silence when the music's playing. You know, they blotted out
Oh,
some of the stuff that was protected that they knew
that
was
was
protected by copyright.
so much fun. I
It
mean,
was.
it really,
Yeah.
really was. And we did, that's, I think it was about 2 years ago already. It'll be 2 years in March we did that.
Yeah. Well, if they're not going to take your show away, I don't mind doing it again.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to shut you down permanently.
No, no. I mean, we're not, we're celebrating. We're not infringing.
We're
It's not,
celebrating. Yeah, we're not there to,
no, we're not.
raise
Yeah,
hell,
exactly.
are we?
No. Brendan, I'm surprised you weren't arrested that night. Lots of laughs. Great show. Though.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brennan.
Well, that would be a great show if you got arrested. It would be like your highest viewership. The week after that. Are you kidding? It'd be through the roof.
We're gonna go viral, Ross. We're gonna go viral.
You'd be a media superstar. You'd be like a TikTok guy.
Did you hear that, Suits? Yeah, they're doing the reconnaissance. They've been awfully quiet, Jeff. They've been awfully quiet lately. The calm before the storm.
One thing we did not touch on that was an important part of the movie was Ramsey's, Tom Selleck's character's vertigo.
Yes. Yes.
Which immediately you think of Vertigo, Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, right, with Scotty Ferguson, James Stewart,
yep,
and how that, affects, him psychologically, but also it doesn't affect him psychologically. The psychological things that have happened to him, cause him to have this fear of heights. But in this movie, it's like the what do you always say? Chekhov's gun. Sure. When they bring something like that up at the beginning of the movie, that's going to play into the resolution. Yeah,
that's going to be a big factor for the movie, and it'll probably be at the end.
Right. And so this was no Vertigo, but
no, and it defined his character, and it really set up why he was doing the kind of work that he was doing too.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that, and there was because what was the reason for that? Because we find out that his wife was killed in an accident, but we find out that there was something else where he didn't. His partner am I thinking of Vertigo? His partner gets killed, but in this one, what happens? That he gets busted down. That he's chasing these robots. Like he had another job, when he was in the police department. They gave him.
Yeah, what had happened was he was going after some thugs, and essentially they got away, and as a result of them getting away, what had happened was they actually wound up killing a family, and
that was it. So it's a little bit of the Uncle Ben, a little bit of the Spider-Man Uncle Ben thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. So now he's just chasing robots.
So that pretty much haunted him throughout, and that was his main reason for that.
Yeah. Again, if it had been done later, or if it had been done by, Ridley Scott or something, there would have been like more of a mood, more of a moody film, rather than just the happy-go-lucky '80s film where once the villain is vanquished, everybody can make out in the sparks. To Jerry Goldsmith's cheery '80s music.
And there was, really right from the get-go too, they were hinting at the attraction that she had from him, because he's on the phone when he's in the helicopter. I think the pilot says that Rosie's on the phone for you, and then he's talking to Rosie like it's somebody that he's very close with, and it's somebody, and she's thinking that it's somebody that it's at the house, because they're talking, the way he's responding to the call and answering Rosie on the phone, that there's some form of relationship there because of the way he's giving his responses. Right. And then it comes out later that Rosie is essentially like, is a machine that's, the caretaker in the house.
Doesn't mean they didn't have a relationship. What?
Interesting thing about Rosie, though.
I thought that would get a bigger reaction from you.
Dun-dun-dun.
Isn't Rosie the name of the robot from the Jetsons?
Yes.
Isn't that the housekeeper?
Mm-hmm. And at the very beginning of the movie, it's interesting that you reference the Jetsons. They actually, when they're finished with the credits, you actually hear the doorbell from the Jetsons. That dun dun dun. There's actually
I read that. I didn't know if that was really the case. I'd have to go back, or if that was like something that somebody, a fan theory, somebody just said it was in there and thought they heard it. But
so there's the Rosie connection again, or the Jetsons.
Yeah, somebody like the Jetsons.
It's but Marilyn,
where's our flying car? But go ahead.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that, Ross.
Yeah, go ahead with
Marilyn Streifer was the voice of Lois in this. And her credits were pretty extensive as far as different things that she did. She passed away at a very young age, though. She was only 43. Really? But one of her voiceover roles that was very popular, I guess, was from 78 to 83, in which she did the voice of Olive Oil in the new whatchamacallit, Popeye, that was on. When I'm saying new, this is 78, folks.
The cartoons?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And she did that for 5 years. She did Scooby-Doo. Also, she did some episodic television. She was in Remington Steele, where she actually was on camera. She did I believe, an Airwolf, and she was also in Newhart. So she was also in front of the camera as well as doing voiceover work, but it was more with the voiceovers.
There you go. What did we do? What did we do last week? 2010. We did 2010.
Yeah, we did 2010.
We were talking about Candice Bergen doing the one Sal 9000 or whatever. Not Hal, but Sal. Yeah.
And interesting enough, too, that you're bringing that up, Ross. This movie came out at literally the same time as 2010, because it was in December of 1984.
Yeah,
but
it had a lot of competition, with the science fiction. It was kind of kind of a golden age. I can't, I shouldn't elevate it too much, because it's not like they were classics or anything, but they were good movies that, good solid science fiction movie. And we had a lot of choice back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I guess we do now too, but they're all Marvel movies. They're not real science fiction. Not that what we watched back then was necessarily real science fiction either. There's plenty of stuff in the Star Wars mold where it was this guy, pirates running around with, guns in space. What's it say? 2010 Dune? What was the other?
Run into 2010 Dune, Runaway.
Supergirl, yeah. All right, I'll revise my opinion. It was a pretty bad year.
And interesting enough about Supergirl, Helen Slater, I just saw that she's turning 60, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, you
How
told me that.
Helen Slater turning 60?
But 60 is nothing now.
Yeah, 60 is the new 40.
Yeah.
John is saying, saying, not classics, but more watchable than the than the blank that we're being
more entertaining too. Yeah, except Supergirl. That was pretty. I thought for sure that I was just not in the right place for Supergirl, and I think I tried to watch it again on video years later, and it was still terrible.
I didn't do it. I never watched Supergirl.
Yeah,
I didn't.
And I love Jerry Goldsmith, but sorry, Jerry, not one of your better scores.
There you go.
Yeah.
I just threw up a slide, and there's a picture of his son with Ramsey's son with Lois.
Oh yeah.
And there's another picture of Gene.
It looks like he stole an ATM machine.
And then the spider robots.
The spider robots. Yeah, they were great.
Now, in regards
to a little cheesy, but good. Yeah, we're good.
Not to give anything away, but okay, well, that's the next slide. Here's the robot that was running amok.
Right. Of the movie. That's the one that was picking the caterpillars off the corn. That was his job.
And then when they're jumping from one vehicle to another, and they're doing it by remote control.
Right. With
and then of course.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't help it. I howled with laughter at that scene. I mean,
it says it all.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Hey, I want to say hi to John. John Marston is out there. John, welcome. Good to see that you're out there. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, I mean, the spiders were. What did Jeff said? Spiders were like poor man's replicators from Stargate.
Yeah. I'll still take him over anything CG, though.
Uh-oh. Yeah, the CG.
It's true.
It's true. Don't search your feelings. You know it to be true. Also, we always like to mention Starlog magazine back in the day. So,
Sting!
About Dune, you were just talking about Sting, Ross.
I know. Sting only wishes he were Gene Simmons.
Issue number 91. There's an interview in there with director Michael Crichton and unveiling Tom Selleck's new heroic role in Runaway. So that was the Starlog magazine you can reference and take a look at from back in 1984, folks.
I don't have anything against Sting, but he was not that character.
No.
Certainly not the character in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't read the novelization.
Watch the newer movie. It's one of the rare. What's that?
Did you see the new movie?
I did. I saw it at home. I didn't see it in the theater, which is probably better because I get tricked into going to the movies and then I'm overwhelmed and I hate it. It's loud and I hate everybody around me and it's a big pain in the ass to get in and you got to reserve your seat like it's Broadway.
I know. I remember when they started introducing this. Yeah. Hey, speaking of Starlog magazine, if I remember correctly, I think it was Starlog issue number 3, and that's the one, folks, with the convention photo. Well, it's artwork, and it's with all of the characters from Star Trek that we loved at a Star Trek convention. But if I remember correctly, on the back cover, they had the band, a photo of Kiss, the band, on the back cover of Starlog. Do you remember that, Ross?
I don't know. They were on everything. Kiss was everywhere. It was just wasn't my kind of music, but they of course they caught my eye because they had the makeup and
makeup. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. I knew all the groups. I just wasn't into it. Yeah. So.
But all in all, though,
but I would definitely watch Kiss and the Phantom of the Park if it were on TV.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out because you know what, I do remember that being on. Didn't see it, but
well, there you go. That's our Halloween episode this year, Roy.
There we go. We can consider it.
Yeah, who's gonna break it to Mike and Mary Beth though? All right, this is our crossover this year.
That's true. Maybe we'll just do it as one of the movies that we're just gonna talk about. But
yeah,
there we go. Anyway, in regards to the composer, of course, the great Jerry Goldsmith, as you were saying, a lot of synthesizers with this.
We love Jerry. He's done so many good movies and so many good scores. And I'm sorry to say that this one doesn't really strike me. It's his first wholly electronic score. He uses electronics in a lot of his movie scores. I mean, he toyed with it in Patton, which is a great score. He had that Echoplex with the receding trumpet sound that was so memorable. That they used as kind of a motive for George C. Scott as Patton. Gremlins was not one of my favorite scores. A lot of electronics in that. But this one, and Logan's Run, there was electronics.
Oh, right. Sure.
Yeah, he did that. But this was just all electronic, and it was very 80s. To me, it kind of dated the picture, which is funny because who's the other guy? Is it Brad Fiedel who did Terminator? I think he did the score for Terminator. And that was very cheesy in 80s also. And yet somehow that one had more resonance. I don't know why. Probably because they made sequels. If they made 50 sequels to Runaway, maybe we would love the Renew. If they made sequels to Runaway, we probably would all love this score too. But I love Jerry to death, but this is not one of my favorite Jerry Goldsmith scores. He was like kind of Michael Crichton's composer of choice, though, because if Crichton never had any say about it, he was always the composer. He wrote the scores for Great Train Robbery, for Coma, for Congo. Yeah, not Jurassic Park, though, because Spielberg was involved. John Williams, of course, did the music for that. But, I don't know what other Westworld. Who did? I don't think
Westworld.
he didn't do the music for Westworld. I don't know who did it. I can't remember now. But he did them for a lot of the Crichton's films. He worked with them a lot.
He was the go-to guy.
He was the go-to guy. Yeah, what can I say about him? I mean, he if not for John Williams, he would probably, he certainly would have won more Oscars. He only won for The Omen. They both studied with Mario Castelnuovo Tedesco at University of or UCLA. He was the composition teacher there. I mean, Henry Mancini studied there. Andre Previn. I think, was it Neil Hefti? One of those guys. If not Neil Hefti, I always mix up Neil Hefti with somebody else who writes in the same style. But anyway, he had a lot of parallels with John Williams before he kind of was the guy who scored the knockoffs. Like John Williams would get Superman, so he'd score Supergirl. John Williams would get Raiders of the Lost Ark, so he'd do King Solomon's Mines. It's like John Williams did E.T. and he did baby Legend of about the baby dinosaur that was like E.T. The Lost Legend or whatever. I can't remember. Patrick McGowan was in that movie though.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
And you mentioned Neil Hefti before, and I know he did episodic television, but I just
he was involved with Batman. I might be mixing him up with somebody else, Neil Hefti, and because there's somebody else who writes in that kind of big bandish style that I'm always crossing him up with. But anyway, the point is that they all went to the same place and worked in the same circles. So
yeah.
Anything you want to know about Jerry? I admit I didn't look him up because I know a lot about him anyway. So
no, and we've definitely talked about him a lot on the show too. I
mean,
he is a master, and he's one. He definitely was one of the masters of music.
I mean, he did Patton and Chinatown and Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Papillon and I don't know. I just got the soundtrack for MacArthur, with Gregory Peck. A great soundtrack. Yeah. Neil Hefti did Batman and the Odd Couple. I mean, you guys know Jerry Goldsmith. You don't need me. You don't need me.
Now, one question, Ross, and this is something Lou just said, off topic, but do you have any comments about losing Peter?
Absolutely. Well, I can say that if you listen to my show tomorrow morning on KWAX, it's all Peter Shickley. I just recorded a tribute to him. And it'll air tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock on the West Coast. But yeah, he was a great musical parodist, a humorist, and a fine composer in his own right. But he took classical music and kind of skewered it. In the way that the Three Stooges were always flipping grapes and bananas into the mouths of opera singers and stuff. He kind of did sort of the same thing, but he did it, from the perspective of somebody who knew what he was talking about. So it'd be funny on two levels. It'd be funny for somebody who laughed at somebody slipping on a banana peel, but it would be funny to somebody who understands the musical joke also, to understand just the extent of the crimes he's committing against music. So, yeah, I mean, I met him once. I interviewed him here in New Jersey.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It was about 10 years ago. But yeah, he used to do crazy stuff. He'd do musical parodies and give them silly names that were kind of puns on what they really were. Or I don't know, like he did, instead of divertimento, he called one of his pieces perventimento, like pervertimento. I don't know. He had all crazy names for his pieces, but
Brennan said he loved to score from Silent Running.
And he did the score for Silent Running, right? He arranged for Joan Baez, songs for her. He did. He wrote some songs for. Remember "Oh Calcutta," the Broadway show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he worked on that. Won 5 Grammys. I like his so-called serious music too, because he always riffs on different genres. I mean, he's obviously well steeped in jazz and blues and bluegrass and folk music and classical music, of course. The guy could write anything.
Ken Hutchins just commented. He said, "This happens with all the snow I'm listening to Bach suites at the Chamber Orchestra of Philadelphia."
Oh, was that tonight?
Yeah, I guess it was.
Okay. Yeah, I got an ad from that. I didn't realize it was already PDQ. Yes, that's his alter ego, PDQ Bach. That's the first thing I should have mentioned. Peter Schickele was the guy who quote unquote discovered PDQ Bach, who was supposed to be the last and least of Johann Sebastian Bach's children. He didn't really exist. It was just something he would always say he was the 20th of or 21st of Bach's 20 sons or 20 children. But yeah. So what he would do is he would write music and attribute it to this imaginary composer, and it'd always be outrageously bad.
Well, that's interesting.
But have all kinds of musical jokes in it.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and he'd have stuff in there that everybody would get. He'd have crazy instruments and car horns, and it was kind of like his big influence was Spike Jones was, right. He used to have the multi songs. Yeah, that was kind of his influence.
Oh, Matt said Goldsmith did Incan.
Yes, well. Inchon. I got Matt to watch Inchon last week. I told him it was the worst, but Matt actually liked it. So I saw it in the theater and it was painful. Maybe I'd like it better now.
It's funny.
But yeah, Olivier plays MacArthur, and he's like 1,000 years old and made out of wax. Obviously,
when did that come out, Ross? When did that come out?
What year was it, Matt? Was it 81? 81 or 82?
Okay.
Yeah, it was early 80s. And again, it was like my stepfather always like suckered me into it. Once in a while we see something good. We go to the movie, we have no idea what it was. Hey, there's this movie Mad Max playing. You want to go see it? Sure. And it's like, wow, that was great. Hey, you want to go see Inchon? Yeah, why not? Oh, what a stinker.
Herb.
Yeah, exactly. But I saw a lot of movies that way. That's how I saw Xanadu.
Well, what movie was I last saw her, but I wish it was under better circumstances. But what movie was he referencing that we were talking about? He said, "Oh, I love that movie." What was
I don't know. One that we covered? Well, The Exorcist he loves.
Yeah, it was The Exorcist.
Trashy movie?
It was The Exorcist. It was The Exorcist.
Yeah, he loves The Exorcist, loves The Godfather.
Yep, he was going on about that.
And oddly enough, he loves Superman. I mean, we totally connected on that one.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Usually we have to go back further into the older movies. Yeah.
Want to say hi to Linda. She said she was sorry she's late, but great to see you out there, Linda. Thanks for joining. Never too late. Never too late. Matt said 1982.
82.
Dennis Chevalier saying,
yeah, that wasn't this is not my birth father. This is my stepfather. Yes.
Yeah. No, 81.
He's going to say yes in taste in movies, but he doesn't really.
Brendan said, I went to see
Night Crossing. Yeah, with John Hurt. Yeah, I saw that in the movies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Condor Man. Oh my God.
Condor Man. Yeah.
You know where I saw Condor Man?
Except Condor Man was Henry Mancini. Yeah.
Saw that at the State Theater back in the day.
Oh, he's talking about the movies we saw with Herb, maybe. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Condor Man was awful.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, Barbara Carr was in it.
It wasn't the worst movie, but it was pretty bad.
Yeah,
it was entertaining, but pretty terrible. It wasn't horrible, painful. There's like bad, painful is bad that why not?
Russ, hold for 1 second. Just give me 1 second.
I'm gonna run away. Oh, what the hell was that? I love when he does this. So, what shall we talk about? I do my Ronald Lacey. I should have hung my coat up on my little nunchuck coat hanger. So, what shall we talk about?
Anyway.
So I had to run to the bathroom.
No, I just had it. But anyway, no. So no, thanks for that though, Ross. That was good.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for all that. Yeah, we're just not talking about anything tonight. We're certainly not talking about the movie.
Sure, we are.
Well, we are. We're talking. We've done worse, but we're digressing a lot.
Everybody says that they love when we digress. So tonight was.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for.
Tonight was 2024 digression at its best.
I hope so. I hope it was interesting and not just self-indulgent.
Nah, it was probably both actually, but that's okay. Brennan, not too much to talk about. Lots of laughs.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was a decent movie, but I want to share this real quick just to talk about this segment of the show. That's the way it was. The release date of this film was December 14th, 1984. Interesting enough, this was only a week after 2010 had actually come out. So we had actually touched upon this
Mm.
in regards to the number one song in the US, no pun intended, Out of Touch. And in the UK, the number one song was I Should Have Known Better. And then the top grossing movies, at least ranking for the month of 1984 in December was The Beverly Hills Cops, was ranked as number one. 2010, the year we made contact. Number 3 was City Heat. Number 4 was Dune. And number 5 was Starman.
I saw all of those in the movies.
Did you?
I did. It's kind of painful that it must have been really painful for Runaway that they didn't crack the top 5 grossing films of the month. Ouch.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, that was an ouch. Yeah, the only film that I saw out of those 5 in the theater was 2010. In the theater.
I was a maniac. They used to have, because at that point I was in Philly. I'd always come home for breaks, and I'd come home on a weekend or whatever. So I'd see stuff in Easton too, but like City Heat, I'm pretty sure. No, I did see that in Easton. I saw that with Herb. A lot of times they'll have like a double feature or whatever for half price, and I go catch it. And they used to have movie houses in Philly. They don't anymore. All the movies are out of Center City, most of them. But yeah, these trashy theaters where you would see, whatever latest Burt Reynolds movie was out with whatever the second big feature was. You remember when they did stuff like that?
Oh, absolutely.
It's like it's a way to spend an evening.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I want to say hi to Bill Altenberg. He's out there. Hey, Bill, thanks for joining. He's like, I missed it. Spent too much time at Wally World after work. It's all good, Bill. Thanks for jumping on to say hi, though. Much appreciated. Hope you're doing well. Bill's in Canada. So I just want to say hi. And I also see Jack is out there, too. Jack Bello. Welcome, Jack. Hope you're doing well, too. Let's see. Oh, The Hague just mentioned Sharky's Machine.
Sharky's Machine.
Yep. And Brennan said, of course, I like Beverly Hills Cops the best. I had an identity crisis as a sci-fi fan.
Yeah. It was okay.
It was okay.
It was funny when Eddie Murphy was swinging around off the back of that truck.
Now, weren't they talking about making another one?
Yes, I did just read that. They want to, it's like, come on, do something fresh. But it's like that desperation where, 40 years later, you got to go back and do another sequel. Yeah. Hey, all power to him. If it's a hit, good for Eddie Murphy. But
oh yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to see it.
The Hague is saying Netflix.
Oh, it's a Netflix thing.
Yeah,
I thought he did one thing for Netflix. It was who was it? It was the Dolomite. What was it? The guy's the actor's name? Oh, Matt knows who the Dolomite is. Matt, come to my rescue. Eddie Murphy did a movie about him. It was on Netflix. It was pretty good.
Oh, okay.
Did a good job with it because I knew who the guy was. Gotcha. His name Rudy Ray. What's his name? I can't remember now.
Rudy Valley.
He just made these awful blaxploitation movies in the 70s, but they were all really low budget.
Oh.
And he plays the actor.
Matt's saying Rudy Ray Moore.
Rudy Ray Moore, thank you.
There you go.
Yeah, that was like the best thing I'd seen Eddie Murphy in years.
Brennan's saying the last Eddie Murphy movie I saw in theaters was The Golden Child.
Yeah, I didn't see that, but I know all about it.
Yeah. Hey, Christian. Christian's also joining
Christian,
us in Canada.
We digress so much. You missed it all. We talked about every movie except this one.
It was fun, though. Well, folks, we're going to go to the shout outs. So if you have any last minute comments you want to put, post, and then we will come back and we will just go over them. So let me go to the shout outs. And as we like to say, bringing you creative awareness through our shout outs. So with that said, I want to give a shout out to friends Mike and Mary Beth at Sci-Fi Distilled. They are on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and they are doing classics right now, and they're covering the 1951 classic, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Check them out. They are on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that will be January 24th. And that's Mike and Mary Beth for Sci-Fi Distilled.
Klaatu Baranicto.
Exactly. I mean, that's a classic. I mean, we had a lot of fun. I think we actually covered that when it was
Election Day. It was right before Election Day we did it. I remember.
No, I was going to say, wasn't it an anniversary? Wasn't it like the 70th? Yeah, it was.
It might have been an anniversary, but I know
it was.
It was.
We did it in 21. We did it in 21.
Friday before an election, or maybe it was a Sunday, because for a while we were crazy. We were doing like Fridays and Sundays.
Yeah.
I don't know what was wrong with us.
Oh, yeah, we got to get back to that.
I'm a little deaf in that ear, Roy.
We're just having too much fun tonight, Ross. Must be something in the snow. It's in the air.
Yeah, don't eat yellow snow, Roy.
Yeah, exactly. It's the meatloaf.
It's the meatloaf. Don't let the meatloaf, Roy. I'm full of wisdom tonight. I'm dying to impart.
Oh boy! Now I want to give a shout out to my friend Bill. Bill's out there for Country Gate Players, the Belvedere Theater, the theater in Belvedere. So anyway, Country Gate is back, and the 2024 season. Stay tuned for information regarding that. It's coming down the pike, and you can find information about Country Gate at www.countrygate.org. Also, Bill has a website, which is www.billscorrado.com. So stay tuned for details regarding that. We are actually we are in rehearsal right now for a murder mystery that is taking place in Belvedere. So if you are in the Harmony Belvedere area, it's going to be February 10th. So more details to follow in regards to that. Also want to give a shout out to Jeffrey. Jeffrey was out there earlier regarding the Eagle Has Landed documentary project. It is progressing and it is working its way. And stay tuned in regards to information about this production. You can actually visit the website, which is www.eagledocumentary.com. And it's going to be pretty cool. So stay tuned in regards to more information regarding that as well. And also, Captain Phil's Planet. Captain Phil is on WUSB 91.FM, Stony Brook, New York. And the captain's schedule is on Friday nights from 9 to 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, Captain Phil's actually going to have a special show next week, which is actually we were talking about the Apple television series For All Mankind, and he's going to have a panel discussion regarding the show. In fact, Mike and Mary Beth are going to be a part of that, as well as some other folks too. Paul's going to be on there, and he had invited me to be on there, but I hate to almost say it, I have not watched the show from I've only seen a handful of episodes. And I need to catch up on that. And it's in its 4th season right now. I think next year they'll be going into the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. And it's an excellent show. And there will be a lot to talk about. But anyway.
I'll go on when he does The Serve Man.
I also want to give a shout out to our friends at Trek Talking, a Star Trek podcast. We thank them for their support. And you can visit Trek Talking, a Star Trek podcast, is on their Facebook page. Definitely check them out as well. Also want to give a shout out to Martha. Martha is the owner of Studio One Thrift. Studio One Thrift has an online presence as far as selling merchandise. Martha just opened a physical store location, which is in Strasburg, Pennsylvania. Now you can go to the website, which is www.studioonethrift.com. And what is offered is quality, stylish, affordable clothing for men and women. You can also receive styling tips as well. All you need to do is you just need to subscribe to receive the updates. So definitely visit the website for information regarding that. And again, that's www.studioonethrift.com. And also coming in September to London, it's the London 1999 50th anniversary celebration. And information in regards to the convention is on the website It's www.space199950years.com. And it's going to be between the dates of September 11th through the 17th of September. So there's a lot of good stuff coming with this. It's the 50th anniversary of Space 1999, folks. So definitely, if you have the opportunity to be there, you're definitely going to want to check it out as well. And Ross, if you can let everybody know what you've got going on in regards to your shows for this weekend.
All right. Well, now I have 3 recorded shows on KWAX. Picture Perfect's the movie music show. That's wrapping up right about now. We have a few minutes left. It's all music about the Tudors. We were talking about Gene Simmons earlier. She's in a movie called Young Bess about the young Elizabeth the First with Stuart Granger, who was her one-time husband. But Miklos Rozsa did the music, and that's on there with other Elizabethan Tudor music. Picture Perfect, Friday nights at 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. 3 hours earlier on the West Coast where it originates. Sweetness and Light is my new show. And that's kind of light music is what it is. It's all music calculated to charm and to cheer. But tomorrow morning, I'm paying tribute to Peter Shickley, who we mentioned earlier, and his alter ego, PDQ Bach. So I'll be playing for some of his comedy albums and also excerpting from a few of his concert pieces. So that's tomorrow morning at 11 Eastern. And The Lost Chord is my unusual and neglected classical music show. And that is Sir Thomas Beecham's 1954 recording of Robert Schumann's incidental music to Lord Byron's Manfred. So it's got actors reciting Lord Byron's poem with Schumann's gloomy music playing. And that's tomorrow night at 7 o'clock Eastern. That's the URL. It's KWAX at uoregon.edu. I promote these things on my Facebook page, so you can just follow a link directly from my page to the shows and listen at the times indicated. Anyway, that's what I've got on the radio right now, Roy. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, Ross. And just to let everybody know, Ross and I will be back next Friday, the 26th of January at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will be discussing, and we were discussing it earlier tonight, the classic 1978 film Coma, which was also a Michael Crichton movie. So we will be discussing that next week. Some sci-fi elements.
Yeah, we'll be watching for Tom Selleck.
Yes, we will be looking for Tom Selleck in the background.
One scene as a body.
Yeah, exactly. So that should be interesting.
I remember my mom reading the book back in the 70s.
I remember that book being on the coffee table too. a lot of talk about that book and the movie. And yeah, it's crazy to think that 78, wow, crazy, 46-year-old movie. But anyway, yeah, I guess we're going to wind.
Yeah, that was a command decision by Roy, but I'm cool with it.
Randy's saying that movie, that promo pic always scared me. Yeah,
it's kind of creepy.
It really was.
Kind of reminded me of Richard Harris hanging on the hooks in his chest and The Man Called Horse.
Nice. Thanks so much, Eva. And thank you too, Bill. Well, folks, hoping that you all have a wonderful week ahead. Also have a wonderful weekend. And yeah, if you are in the Northeast, stay warm. It's supposed to be cold the next couple of days. And hopefully we will get to those warmer temperatures sooner than later. And any last words, Ross?
I just want to wish a happy birthday to Edgar Allan Poe.
There we go.
We got to do a Poe movie sometime.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that. That'll be fun. Yeah, speaking of birthdays, Space 1999 fans, today would have been Tony Anholt's 83rd birthday. But unfortunately, he passed away back in 2001. But remembering Tony Anholt today. But as we like to say, folks, live long and prosper. And have a great week.
Have a good weekend.
And a great weekend.
And a good week, too.